you've obviously gotten to work so closely with so many legendary acts. I mean, Dream Theater, Opeth, members of Parliament-Funkadelic. I mean, you're working like up close with all these legendary acts in different capacities. But who like getting to see their work up close had the biggest effect on how you approach your own work?
I have to think about that one probably. I mean, everyone influences you. Every tour.
Heavy hitters. I mean, I'm sure everything's revolutionary.
I mean, it's like you just drink it in, and just watch what's happening. And, seeing how George Clinton works, he gets out there on a stage and how he runs his band. And it's like, there's like 36 dudes in the band. I mean, but he gets out there and then he could just kind of like starts conducting, you know what I mean? You know what? I remember being out there on stage with him and just thinking like, please don't pick me. Please don't pick me. Please. Cause he comes up to you and then he starts like, and you're supposed to be like, oh, how's he doing this to me?
That sounds like my dream to have that happen.
When you're first out there, you're a little nervous, but I got to go to Europe with P-Funk as part of the opening band, which had a bunch of the members of the band in the opening band.
Right.
The band was called Drugs.
Yeah.
And that was probably my first real touring experience. I mean, I don't know. I was 20 years old and I got on the bus with these guys. And it's like I didn't know. And it's like they were the nicest dudes in the world. They were so good to me. They treated me so well. Made me feel really comfortable. I'll never forget when we hit Amsterdam. And they took me aside and they're like, now that feeling, you get, when it's Christmas time, that feeling. Well, that's what it's like for us when we get to Amsterdam. And they took me to the red light district, and I'm just like, why should these guys lose their minds? And he's like, they're just like, run into him, high fiving, like, where are you at? I'm on number 4. Like, I was just like, wow, this. I mean, it was mind blowing back then. It was like, things were not as progressive here in the U.S. at the time. And I don't know, are they less progressive now?
I don't think we're there yet. Yeah.
Well, you can smoke pot anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I mean, it was pretty wild. Like, just checking out that.
That was your first tour?
That was my. I guess it was my first. Now that I think about it, my first real tour. And what an experience, And I started writing. I mean, just immediately inspired. Yeah. And it was, it was interesting to me that, at the time, I know George is straight up sober now, but back then, if you offered him pot, he'd be like, hell no, I don't. Everybody else in the band smoked pot, but George was like, that shit's crazy. But he would eat mushrooms for breakfast. Oh. So,
yeah.
Now you have so much like cred in like the prog community, and obviously you're you've carved out your own niche with like a rock sound, but you can play so many other genres so well. I mean, is that like rock and prog thing more of like a at the core of what you go for, or is it literally just all directions? And then did playing with the P-Funk guys, like, did that add a new type of funk to what you were doing? Like, did that change the way you approached playing?
It definitely inspired me. I mean, I started writing some funky riffs, but I always had the soul background because like I grew, like my parents were spinning all the Stevie Wonder stuff, and that's what brought me to these guys when they heard me sing. They're like, oh, he's got a little bit of that flavor in there. And I met Michael Clip Payne. Had come to Woodstock. We ended up working together. I sang on a track for an artist called Alex Gopher, and I guess the song did pretty good in Europe, and that's what kind of opened the door for me. And Clip and I, we still work together to this day. We do stuff, and so he's definitely working with him, seeing how he would produce vocals, and just getting to be around these guys, man. It's like the soul, the way it just pours out of them. It's like, I just try to like, they're not trying, they just are, you know what I mean? It's like, it's hard to explain. Getting to be around Gary Scheider, you know, I mean, God, like that guy, he was awesome, man. He was really, really good to me. And, you know, we would hang out. He'd always want to be next to me on stage. So that was really cool, man. And, you know, and that was, you know, sad when he passed away, but, I'll never forget the time I had with him. But it's, again, I don't know if anybody's had quite as diverse an experience as I have, because, you know, there I am now. Next I'm out with, like, you know, Swedish death metal bands, and you know, and it's like, when you tour with Opeth, I mean, I love Opeth. Those guys, when they do it, it's like, it's so different, but I felt that same, they did it soulfully, you know. And there were a lot of like these like younger bands that it just didn't hit you in the same way, you know. But Opeth was awesome, and